Hello there, and a very good day I bid to Dr. Hanita and whoever is watching this video. We are Group 5. I am Alinsa Erin with my group members, Crystal Evora and Fiolin. So this is our assignment. This is our first assignment for critical writing and research, the article analysis and review, with the title Exploring Teachers' Perspectives on the Effects of Gamification in Malaysian ESL Classroom. These are the five articles used for this review. The first one, we have New Digital Gamification, Perception in STEAM Approach, Secondary ESL Teachers' Perspectives in STEAM-Oriented ESL Classroom. The second one, Secondary Public School Teachers' Perception of Gamification in ESL Instruction, a Qualitative Study. The third article is Gamification Functionality of Features of Kahoot in Learning, ESL teachers and students' perceptions. The fourth one, Improving ESL Learners' Grammar with Gamified Learning. Last but not least, the dark side of narrow gamification, negative impact of assessment gamification on student perception and content knowledge. All five articles mention the effects of gamification in the ESL classroom, and that is what this review is about. A crucial term for this review is gamification. Gamification is a term related to the subsumption of game mechanics and design components to enhance the user experience and engagement in the non-game context. According to Razman, the design components include leaderboards, badges, and points. Sinavasagam and Hua 2023 mentioned that in the educational setting, gamification represents game-based learning for the digital age, and it pertains to the natural revolution of game-based learning. As stated by Charunin et al. 2024, gamification is a multimedia teaching technique that utilizes digital and online platforms for the purpose of teaching and learning. And in the ESL context, Hashim et al. 2019 explained and specified that gamification in the English lesson is grounded in linguistic aims and elements in the game. Razman et al. Also mentioned that gamification is more than just the inclusion of game mechanics, but it is an approach that pursues interactive learning, enhances learners' engagement, and encourages learners' autonomy. This review will focus on four major themes which emerge repeatedly in previous research, which delve on the impacts of gamification in the ESL classroom from the teacher's perspectives. These themes are the enhancements of students' engagement, students' motivation, academic development, and diversity in teaching strategies.
The first theme is students' engagement. Gamification enhances students' engagement, as shown in the studies made by Hashim et al. 2019, where the study stated that online language games create a competitive environment that encourages learners to engage fully in the learning process. This means that gamification not just allows students to have fun, but they acquire knowledge along the way. Secondly, Srinivasagam and Hua 2023 supported this claim, as their research depicts that online games like Kahoot motivate students for better performance, as the interactive and competitive nature of Kahoot, the online game, effectively captures students' interests and keep them involved in the learning process. Besides that, according to Charnin et al. 2024, ESL teachers also view digital gamification as a valuable and enjoyable method that significantly enhances language learners' engagement and motivation in English classes. Ramzan et al. 2024 also suggested that their research observed increased participation from students, including those who were previously disengaged or reluctant to participate in class activities.
The next theme that we are going to look at is gamification increases students' motivation. Previous researchers posited that the integration of gamification in the ESL classroom has increased students' motivation. According to Srinivasagam and Hua 2023, gamification tools like Kahoot effectively induce and reinforce learning among students, which then encourage them to be independent learners. Hashim et al. 2019 supported this claim by affirming that the gamification approach aroused learners' motivation and interest in the learning process, and they are able to foster their own learning. Rasman et al. 2024 mentioned that the game elements like badges and certificates contribute to learners' sense of fulfillment, which directly increases their motivation to perform in the lesson. So, learners are able to keep track of their own learning progress and practice the culture of continual learning, and they are able to be independent learners from the motivation gained through gamification. The next theme that we are going to look at is gamification increases students' motivation. Previous researchers posited that the integration of gamification in the ESL classroom has increased students' motivation. According to Srinivasagam and Hua 2023, gamification tools like Kahoot effectively induce and reinforce learning among students, which then encourage them to be independent learners. Hashim et al. 2019 supported this claim by affirming that the gamification approach aroused learners' motivation and interest in the learning process, and they are able to foster their own learning. Rasman et al. 2024 mentioned that the game elements like badges and certificates contribute to learners' sense of fulfillment, which directly increases their motivation to perform in the lesson. So, learners are able to keep track of their own learning progress and practice the culture of continual learning, and they are able to be independent learners from the motivation gained through gamification.
Good morning. My name is Violin Michelle, and I will continue the presentation on to the next point, which is gamification helps in boosting academic performance. According to Srinivasagam and Hua 2023, the immediate feedback provided by Kahoot, which is a gamified learning platform that is highlighted in this specific paper, allows students to understand their performance in real time. This quick response can help students identify areas where they need improvement, with a hint of fun in learning, thus facilitating better academic results. The findings of Ramzan 2024 align with this perspective by demonstrating that many teachers noted that gamification significantly enhanced student engagement, which in turn led to better learning outcomes. For an instance, in the paper mentioned that one teacher observed improvements in students' vocabulary and oral skills, stating that game-like activities made learning less intimidating and more enjoyable for the students. Next, according to Hashim 2019, the results in the research conducted showed a notable decrease in the number of participants receiving low grades in the range of D or E in the post-test, suggesting that gamified learning not only helps in improving scores, but also in reducing the number of students struggling with grammar. So Charnin in 2024 further supported this through the findings, which indicate that digital gamification positively enhances overall language competency and various language skills, including vocabulary and reading skills. This improvement in language skills is directly linked to better academic performance in ESL contexts. Interestingly, according to Kohn and Ospalet 2021, while the intention was to boost academic performance, the finding in this specific paper revealed that gamifying assessment activities led to significantly lower content knowledge among the students. So this suggests that the approach may have not effectively supported the intended academic outcomes. So there are a little arguments among the findings in the papers that we have studied.
The next theme is gamification promotes diversity in teaching strategies. According to Charunin et al. 2024, gamification offers a multifaceted teaching method. It doesn't just engage students, it allows teachers to integrate linguistic skills with interdisciplinary content, encouraging holistic learning. Ramzan et al. 2024 observed that gamification empowers teachers to move away from rigid, one size fits all textbook teaching. Instead, lessons become more student centered, allowing learners to interact, explore, and collaborate more freely. Hashim et al. 2019 also supports this by noting that gamification serves as an effective alternative to rote learning. It encourages active participation and supports diverse learning styles, making English lessons more meaningful and inclusive. However, researchers like Kohn and Ospalad 2024 posited that gamification should have pedagogical balance as over-gamification can be superficial. Therefore, Ramzan et al. 2024 mentioned that to integrate gamification meaningfully in the diverse teaching approach, proper training should be given to teachers. While gamification has strong potential, it must be applied with careful pedagogical consideration. Overusing game elements without meaningful integration risks creating a superficial learning environment where students enjoy the activity but fail to internalize key concepts. This reinforces the need for balance between engagement and learning. Gamification is most effective when it supports the learning objective, not when it overshadows it. Ramzan also addressed and emphasized that teachers need proper training to implement gamification effectively, as training ensures that teachers are equipped to design purposeful, gamified tasks that is aligned with the curriculum and learning goals. Without this training, gamification may become just another trend, fun but not fruitful in terms of academic outcomes.
Now I will talk about sources evaluation. Why is sources evaluation important? Well, it ensures that researchers like us, you and I, read and cite from credible authors who have studies with concrete data as our references. Apart from that, it allows us to check for sources that are relevant to our topic of choice and eventually aids us in identifying the gaps in our study. Besides that, sources evaluation increase the academic value of our study as we cite from high quality and reliable reading sources. So, for the evaluation of our study, we focus on four thematic focuses, which include strengths, weaknesses, relevance to the topic, and also contribution to the education field. So now let's look at the strength. Based on the five articles or sources that we've read and evaluate, we realize that the strength is mixed method research design. Why do we say so? A lot of the researchers in their studies, they use mixed method research design because they use both qualitative and also quantitative approach in gathering data. So they use qualitative through interviews, and then they adapt quantitative approach through questionnaire surveys. So mixed method research design that applies both qualitative and also quantitative methods or approach to collect data provides us with reliable data. The second one is positive feedback on gamification. We see this as a strength because teachers and students perceive gamification positively. All five articles, the discussion talks about how teachers, especially, thinks that gamification is a very good thing, a very good approach to teach the students in the classroom. And also, the articles state the effectiveness in the process of acquiring language, especially when it comes to understanding a certain aspect of the language. For example, the grammar through games. Okay, number three, engagement and motivation. Teachers and students agreed that gamification allowed them to have fun in class and to have a more engaging as lessons apply games. All right. Now, on to talk about the weaknesses. After reading the five articles or the sources, we realized that the researchers in the articles they prefer to use small sample size of participants or respondents. So they cover around 150 respondents, qualitative and quantitative combined, and this limits the generalizability of the findings. This means that the findings can only represent a small group of people from a certain place or a certain school. It cannot represent Malaysia as a whole. Number two is the overemphasis on high school teachers. Reading the five articles, we realized that the researchers the respondents are from secondary schools and not primary schools. So this means that it focuses on secondary teachers, and we miss the insights from primary school teachers. This means that they do not cover all educational levels. The third one is the focus only on certain skills. From the five articles that we read, there are two articles talking about a specific skill, which is a grammar skill. And this means that a game could only cover a topic at a time. And this leans more towards a single course element in the classroom. Talk about the last part, which is the relevance to the topic and the contributions to the education field. Number one is the highlighting of the benefit and the drawbacks. When we read the articles, we realize that the articles they do talk about the good things about gamification, but at the same time, they also commented about the drawbacks that came with it. Number two is the innovative teaching approach. Now, in the digitalization world that we have today, gamification being an approach that is widely used in the world is no longer something that is not common. It's very common, right? And the articles also discuss the teacher's readiness for the ongoing changes that keep coming, especially in the modern world today. Number three is the foundation for future research. We see this as a big contribution to the education field because from reading the five articles, we realized that it can be a start to encourage other researchers to study about the students' perspectives, not just the teachers' perspectives. And it can be an open door to more research about gamification in various contexts and not just in our country, Malaysia.
Moving on to the limitations that we found in the articles that we've reviewed, we found four limitations altogether. The first one being resource constraints. So the study acknowledges that resource limitations, such as access to digital tools and reliable internet, pose significant challenges to the successful implementation of gamification in ESL classrooms. These constraints can hinder teachers' ability to fully utilize gamified strategies, potentially affecting the overall effectiveness of the approach. And this is taken from the Ramzan 2024. The second limitation being lack of funding. So according to Srinivasagam and Hua 2023, the study faced significant financial constraints as it was not sponsored by any institution or entity. All expenses related to the research were covered by the researcher themselves, which limited the scope and resources available for the study. The third limitation is limited scope. So this is taken from Kohn and Ospolet 2021, where the study highlights the effect of social interactions, including cooperation and competition, on intrinsic motivation, were not specifically addressed. And this particularly is relevant in higher education, where these dynamics can significantly affect students' engagement and learning outcomes, but it is not covered in lower education, for example, in primary school. And the last limitation is restricted sample size. So according to Sharonin 2024, to enhance the validity and generalizability of future studies on ESL teachers' perspectives regarding the use of games in classrooms, it is essential to include a larger and more diverse sample of participants. So the current study achieved a response rate of 85.71% with only 60 secondary ESL teachers participating. Next, we move on to the potential future researches. We found 4 altogether through 5 of the articles. The first one being addressing resource limitations. So according to Ramzan 2024, future studies could explore ways to overcome resource constraints that teachers face when implementing gamification. This could include investigating cost-effective tools or strategies that can be used in low-resource settings to enhance gamified learning experience. The second one being impact of social dynamics. So according to Kohn and Ospolet 2021, future research should also examine the role of social interactions, such as collaboration and competition, in gamified learning environments, and understanding how these dynamics influence students' motivation and performance could lead to more effective gamification strategies. The third future research that could be done is exploration of other gamification tools. So according to Srinivasagam and Hua 2023, researchers should consider examining other gamification platforms in addition to Kahoot, because Kahoot was the only platform that were addressed in the research, and this is to understand their functionalities and features. This could provide insights into what makes certain platforms more effective than others in enhancing ESL teaching and learning. And the last future research is expanding participant pool. So Charnin in 2024 suggests that future studies should also involve primary ESL teachers. This inclusion could help us identify potential differences in instructional settings and demands between primary and secondary education, thus providing a more comprehensive understanding of ESL teaching and learning experiences.